The White Sox and Tony La Russa, whether Back to the Future is the best strategy for Chicago, and the Falcons and Panthers, and whether those Falcons might need a Falcon Saver. Anybody know a Falcon Saver? Baseball news of the afternoon. White Sox naming their new manager. You ready for it? It's Tony La Russa in 2021. Last managed in 2011 when he won the World Series with St. Louis. Last managed the White Sox in 1986. White Sox are good. The White Sox are young. How does Tony La Russa fit in, Sarah Spade?
He doesn't. He only fits with their owner, his buddy, who has said for a long time his biggest regret was letting young, unqualified GM Hawk Harrelson decide to fire Tony La Russa back in 1986. Only 2 players on the current White Sox were alive the last time Tony La Russa managed the White Sox. He's had an 8-year hiatus. He's 76 years old. He is a noted anti-let-the-kids-have-fun manager who believes in the unwritten rules of baseball. Not to mention, he is notedly anti-social statements, anti-peaceful protests. And lest you think that was just years ago when Kaepernick first made his stance, he just doubled down in February on Graham Bensinger's show talking about how much he doesn't think there's any place in the sport for people to be vocal about those things. He bats that up into a city like Chicago with a star like Tim Anderson, who not only is swaggy but is extremely vocal about social issues. And I have zero idea why in this year you would take an exciting, young, thrilling team like the White Sox and pair them with the exact opposite in every possible way. This is the dumbest decision that I've heard since yesterday when, I don't know, 1 million people said they don't wear masks.
So I'm going to put you down for a no then with La Russa and the White Sox. Okay.
No.
Wow.
No,
well, there's a lot to unpack there. Woody Page, just for starters, the idea of Tony La Russa with the White Sox in 2021.
Oh, thank you, Tony. My first trip back to the show, and you're going to have me follow Sarah and what she just said out of Chicago. And here's Tony La Russa, somebody I've known since 1974 when he was a minor league player and in law school in Denver, and that's how I got to know him. Oh. How in the world can I defend him after that? But I'll say this, he was an incredible manager for a long period of time. I think Sarah made some very good points in terms of whether he's going to deal well with analytics, whether he's going to deal with the young players and how they approach the game now, how he's going to deal with issues that are off the field. But here's the thing about him. Very smart guy, as I said, he has a law degree, and he has been very successful. And you talked about he walked away from the game after winning in 1986, and then he came back again. I think that he is going to be not – here's the point I'd really want to make, is they shouldn't have made a move at manager. They had a good manager in place, and this was, as Sarah pointed out, like going to your old friend. And I'm not going to sit here and defend old guys, but I think maybe the game has passed him by.
Okay, so now he did walk away from the game in 2011. He didn't walk that far because he was doing work with the Arizona Diamondbacks in their front office then.
Yeah.
Mina Kimes, I'll bring you in here, La Russa and the White Sox.
To me, the biggest question mark and potential problem is the culture fit, right? Because age is just a number. I mean, some of the oldest managers in baseball, Joe Madden, Dusty Baker, relate really well to their players, okay? So analytics, that's another place I think where people are nervous about La Russa because of some comments he's made in the past. Even though, in some ways he was very innovative when he managed, I will reserve judgment there.
Okay.
But the culture fit, the fact that players and people inside the organization, according to Jeff Passan, are already apprehensive about pairing a traditionalist with a young, exciting, diverse team, that is what concerns me. And in that case, I think the onus here is on La Russa to prove otherwise, because he has to show that organization he's evolved.
And Kevin Blackistone.
We've got a challenger to the presidency of the United States who is 77 years old, and we're worried about a 70-year-old manager in baseball. I mean, come on, what are we talking about here? All these points made, though, are very valid. A nice bookend to his career, however, with La Russa, when he was hired by the White Sox. At the time, he was 34 years old, the youngest manager in Major League Baseball, and now he's coming back as a 76-year-old manager in baseball with a resume that is one that a lot of managers would like to have, with all the trophies on it, the rings, all that kind of stuff. We know what he's done, but yeah, will he be able to fit in 2020 with these new athletes that are dominating the game? Maybe not, but we're about to find out.
Sarah, is no part of you excited to see how this might play out?
Well, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. He's the third winningest manager ever. His resume speaks for itself when it comes to baseball. But let's not forget he's going to be managing during what will still certainly be a pandemic at that age. And then also, let's not forget that if you're going to hold them up as better than some other options because, you know, Cora or others are associated with cheating, he managed the most steroid-addled dugout locker room in the history of baseball. And he also allegedly, according to his old White Sox cohorts, was part of sign stealing back in the day when he was in Chicago. He's affiliated with all the things that you're going to hold up
so
that
again,
make other people who are younger and more qualified.
I'm going to put you down for a no here.
I'm going to put me down for a no.
Tell us how you really feel.
We've been horned. We're going to move on. Day 2 here of baseball's investigation into Justin Turner. Think about the alternate universe we could have been in today. The Rays had won Game 6. Game 7 would have been last night. Dodgers would have had to play without Turner, or Game 7 would have been postponed if the Dodgers, a player test would have been coming in through the system. MLB's investigation here on the celebration on the field, that falls completely on Turner and the Dodgers for defying brazenly the protocol. Emphatically refused is how the release said when they said Turner was wrong. But there's also questions over how the inconclusive test from the day before surfaced so late during the game. So that falls on Major League Baseball. KB, how significant is this investigation here? What impact can it have now that the season is over? And do you trust Major League Baseball to get to the bottom of this?
Well, it can't have any impact on the season that just ended. I mean, they're not going to take away the trophy from the Dodgers. But, this is really, for me, it's all on Major League Baseball. I understand the personal accountability, responsibility aspect of Turner finding out that he was positive and then coming back onto the field. But the bottom line is that Major League Baseball should have some penalties in place already for people who violate this code. Every other sport did. And why doesn't baseball? And so now they're expected to come down with some arbitrary ruling against what Justin Turner did that we all witnessed. I don't think that's right either. It's all on Major League Baseball.
Woody Page?
It's not, Kevin. It's not all on baseball. Yes, there were mistakes made by baseball, just as it was made a year ago in regard to the cheating. So yes, baseball needs to take another hit, no pun intended. But Turner has to take a hit here. He wasn't supposed to go back. He had been tested positive. But he goes out there. I think you've got to take a punishment if you are Turner. And the one I would give him is take away his World Series share. There's no reason that you should be out there. I know you want to celebrate, but you have been basically kicked off the field. You're not supposed to go back. Security officers are trying to keep him from going back on the field. So yes, he should be penalized. Baseball should look at itself, but he should have his World Series taken away.
So it's a financial punishment for him. Do you believe he should miss games? Should he be suspended going next season? Is this something that can go that way, Woody Page? No?
No,
Okay.
I think the financial hit will be enough.
Mina Kimes?
Move on.
Yeah, I think both parties are equally culpable here. I mean, I understand why Turner did what he did. I don't agree with it. I think he should be held accountable, and I agree with all the criticism of it. But what I don't understand is baseball and how they let it happen. Because all season long, there's been inconclusive tests. They knew how long it would take to get the result, and yet he played. Right? And Kevin's right. They've been deliberately vague about all of the rules, regulations, punishments purposely to create some gray areas, and this is the consequence, and they have to face up to that.
Sarah Spain.
Yeah, according to reports, inconclusive tests have never held anyone out the rest of the season, but this one was delayed, which is why they didn't get it till the second inning of this game, which is why they expedited the second test that caused a positive that ultimately resulted in him being pulled. That's important. MLB is still at fault here for that. And again, they're at fault for not having specific things in place to the point where early in the season we saw the Marlins take a team vote on whether they should go out and play despite positive tests. They needed to be more clear. But anyone that says they understand Justin Turner, he had to have decided before this happened how he felt about this virus, because anyone in any circumstance who was told that they had an extremely contagious virus that had already killed 200,000 plus would say to themselves, I'm immediately removing myself from anybody else unless they had already decided that they didn't care about it, which is what he did. He should be suspended for a significant chunk of next season because fines will not have any impact on next year. No one will remember that.
Now you're saying you're taking a 25-game suspension for defying so brazenly the protocol that we had in mind and putting people in danger. We're going to be in this next year too.
And
when you hear people say this was his celebration, he worked his whole career for this, you say what, Sarah Spain?
I say that is no excuse, and that's the reason our country is in this mess 9 months later, because we each keep prioritizing the things that matter to us over stopping the spread.
Right. I mean, we talked about this yesterday. I mean, the entire country and world has had to make sacrifices. Oh, I'm only dealing with celebratory things here. I'm not dealing with the loss of life, which is just heart-wrenching. But high school graduations, college graduations, 100th birthdays for grandma and grandpa, the entire world has made sacrifices like that. Here's what I thought about. The NBA, when they got a positive test with Rudy Gobert, they stopped the whole season. Stopped the whole season. When the NBA in the bubble found out that Lou Williams was tasting wings at a strip club, he was immediately punished for that. And this, now you're seeing on the field, Mina Kimes, Justin Turner celebrating without a mask next to a cancer survivor. And this is what is an image that's going to be indelible and last forever with Major League Baseball.
You know, I've seen people defend it by saying, well, he was around his teammates and coaches, so if he was going to, infect them, he already did. That doesn't make sense. That's not how this works. It's not how any of this works. You can infect anyone at any time. The circumstances can change. And also, there were other people on that field. That reasoning does not fly with me, and I agree with Sarah. I mean, it's selfish, and it does deserve punishment.
We've been Horn. We're going to take a break right here. Thanks for your thoughts on that. Coming up, buy or sell. Does it possibly change the way how you feel the Falcons lost last week hearing this?
Get the first, get down.
Oh,
That's still hilarious.
Around the Horn is presented by Samuel Adams. From Boston with love. Savor the flavor responsibly.
Don't score. Yeah, I would don't score. Don't score. Get the first, get down.
That's the NFL filmed audio. You know how it all plays out. And hearing that, kind of cool. There's some question as to what play that was the huddle for, whether it was the third down before it or the first and goal here. So that does kind of affect how you might see this. But does it change how this played out for you and the blame Todd Gurley took, Mina Kimes?
No, it was a mistake regardless of whether or not he was told. You can see him remembering to pull up. It's too late. And for anyone saying, well, Todd Gurley wanted the touchdown, he's not playing himself in fantasy, guys. Like, his perception around the league reflects decisions like this. People are aware of it and not just raw touchdowns or anything like that.
I thought the film basically reinforced what I believed, which was a mistake. And for a new coach, Raheem Morris, to come out and say it was his responsibility, he's trying to take the blame away from Gurley when he shouldn't really be, because Gurley made a mistake. And if it was such a problem, why didn't you call a timeout and make sure everybody knew exactly what they were supposed to be doing?
It seemed like everybody did know, and as much as I want to believe this was just a mistake, he had more than enough for the first down. And you could say in the past he's done the right thing, but this is a team that's kind of rudderless and doesn't need the win, so maybe he is thinking, I need touchdowns to prove that I'm not a washed-up.
Even with the reaction that he gave you afterwards? Even what you saw on video?
He sure sold it. I'm not saying for sure, I'm just saying it seemed suspicious.
Kevin Blackistone.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake. The only thing that changes for me is that at least the coach and the quarterback are off the hook because they made that reminder very clear. No matter what down it was, do not go into the end zone. But that still doesn't absolve their defense from giving up a 75-yard touchdown drive in 8 plays with just a minute to go in the game.
That takes us to tonight, Falcons versus Carolina. The mind races with possibilities for how this one ends. Do the Falcons Falcon tonight, Mina? Are you watching this for Carolina? What do you got?
I've got Carolina. That's a young, feisty offense that's been really good under new coordinator Joe Brady without Christian McCaffrey. I think they're going to put up a lot of points on a bad defense.
But Teddy Bridgewater has just emerged. I mean, he's a guy that I think is perfect for that organization, and I think that you watch Carolina, they're playing without McCaffrey, who's not going to come back until next week, but I don't see them as a playoff team.
I think this might be closer than people think, only because the Panthers' pass rush is bad. Their secondary hasn't been great. They're prone to give up the big pass, and Julio Jones is back this time, who wasn't around the last time they met. That being said, the Falcons have still given up the most
Okay, that
yards
is a
per
banned phrase. We don't need to hear that. Closer than people think. Sarah, this is the Falcons. They play close games, and then they invent something at the end to look Kevin quickly on tonight.
Yeah, I got the Panthers, and they really need it because the next couple of weeks with the Chiefs and the Buccaneers are going to be difficult for them if they think they're a playoff team.
We'll move on. Trivia for points right now. You guys ready? The last city to have 2 championship seasons in the same year. Anybody know?
Washington.
Washington, just last year. Mystics and the Nats, all right. The last to have 3.
Detroit, 1935.
Good guess. It's L.A. In 2002, they had 4 with the Sparks, Angels, Galaxy, and Lakers. We bring that up because LA's in play for multiple 3 this year. Jared Goff says there's pressure on the Rams. I guess it could be the Rams or the Chargers. Would he buy or sell added pressure because LA's now the city of champions?
Yeah. That was 4 major leagues, and they had in Detroit 35.
I gave you major leagues. Thank you very much.
Okay.
The Sparks, the Galaxy.
Why is there no pressure on the Los Angeles Chargers? I guess because they're not any good and nobody pays attention to them. But yes, there's pressure on the Rams that is self-imposed, A, and B, people in L.A. want that third. And so, yes, they're going to, every week, people are going to talk about this possibility.
There's fun pressure for the trifecta, but the real pressure is on teams in places where they have nothing else going for them. People will still be celebrating even if the Rams fall out.
Maybe.
The only pressure on these Rams is the fact that everyone thought that they were so good. They got so close and came up short. That's the pressure. It has nothing to do with any other teams in the city.
There's business pressure on the Rams because they don't compete with the Chargers. They compete with the Dodgers and Lakers for this city's attention, and those teams have been thriving. So that puts pressure on the Rams from a business perspective.
Buy or sell 3. Let's make sense of Nebraska, Wisconsin. This cancellation. Badgers had 12 in the program test positive. That's short of the Big Ten's red level that triggers a 7-day pause, but Wisconsin took the 7-day pause anyway, making the game a no contest with no makeup date. Whether Wisconsin did that because they were down to their 4th quarterback to avoid a loss, there's that. There's also the Big Ten telling Nebraska they can't add Chattanooga. Sarah Spain, what do you make of this?
I just want to point out there is a threshold, but there's also in the Big Ten protocols the ability for a team to consider viability of continuing with the competition. 6 coaches, no quarterbacks. This makes sense to me, and if you make those rules before, you have to abide by them when you come up to a tough situation.
I applaud Wisconsin for not putting the business of college football ahead of the safety and health of their players and anyone who may come in contact with them. We just went over what happened with Justin Turner and the Dodgers. Let's not let this one escape what they did. The rest of the league should make the same sorts of decisions that they did.
I think 2 things can be true at the same time. Wisconsin might not have made this decision if it was players like at the end of the roster. And from a public health perspective, it's probably the right decision.
I disagree with Mina. I think they have every right to say if it's about quarterbacks, 6 assistant coaches also have tested positive. All regulations and protocols are made to be broken. And in this case, I, like Kevin, applaud Wisconsin.
All are made to be. Well, you lost me there, but you said you disagree with Mina, which makes me think you guys should have a conversation by yourselves over there while we do a showdown with Sarah Spade and Kevin Blackistone in 2 minutes.